Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. The support is for the 18th. Well, there was a little bit of soft action today, not a whole lot of movement. We did see the DOC with green moving above cyan, which is bullish. Of course, magenta just barely above yellow at this particular stage, which is part of the reason that pivot lower certainly created a little softness. And also we had a pick up of the NBI white. Of course, nothing is crossed over to suggest sell signal of any way, shape, or form, but more time that passes where we get flattened with the NBI gold as well as the Azure here on the shakeout. That's what we would look for, at least higher highs and a beginning of the lower shakeout histogram would be compressed double top for what some people would look at. From an NQ standpoint, still weaker, but performance slightly better and stronger from its NBI reading as well as from its DOC. So a little bit stronger from that standpoint. Adding in the YM here, which is Dow, suffered a bit more of a collapse, and that's a bit poorer performance. So that's actually created a full sell signal. Which is kind of why I added it, because we're starting to get a little bit of divergence between some of the main players versus the broader market, and that'll be interesting to see how that starts to impact things and play out. Gold, of course, reaching new highs and still bullish within its current setup as it is, and again, that's that inflationary hedge. The euro still blah to disastrous. There was some improvement from an interest rate standpoint, so that took a little pressure off. It's temporary. And from an oil standpoint, that's part of why the interest rates faded just a little bit. There was the softening in oil from the peak on the white here. Could be even a little bit more sustained if we get that NBI white crossover there. So keep an eye on that one. That would be a big relief, because where it's at still too much. Nothing really happened with Bitcoin from its earlier play. It did continue the optimization setup. Still a long way to go for it, but just keeps improving the overall setups. And that's the customization for the fact that this is a 60-minute chart. It would be different on a tick chart, which is why it, compared to the NBI Opus 2T that's on like a 50K or whatever, it's going to give slightly different reading simply because some of these bars that happen in time don't actually do anything, because you could have nominal trades take place as opposed to construction under tick charts, which is actual trades from an ES standpoint. Don't have the strategy to put that on. I turn that off briefly. When I'm saving my workspaces, I like to turn off the paint bars and everything and just have clear chart with just the indicators so that there's no disruption when loading back up real quick, because it'll take a lot longer if you have paint bar and strategies activated. Turn around, create the buy. It's pretty weak given that rollover here of the NBI magenta, so that could take a little bit more downside action. We'll have to see if the DOC cyan here pops up above. It's pivoted already above it, so that could create a little bit of softness going through. And then from a 5K standpoint, again, look at this, still weak from a volume standpoint, because that was end of day and didn't even fill up the chart. I haven't compressed or expanded it at all like some days, but it was mostly weak. And as we started to get the build, it stayed pretty much red until it popped just briefly, but then immediately put up the sell signal there and then turn around, but that was weak as well and faded back. So it just kept doing that, and every one of the spikes of the weight that were leading into the later was leading to the expectation for a move towards 0%. Thought it would happen here, didn't happen. Then we traded sideways for a long time. When the spike came up here, it was attacking that one, particularly since it was right at a previous algo level, this 91 level. And then, of course, they wait for the bell, and right after the bell, the dips to fill that setup right there. So that's where we have it, the long and short of it. But overall, pretty clean action and straightforward. As always, though, I will update anything special on the Skype chat, and as soon as I have finalized all those optimizations from a 16-minute on the Bitcoin, I will give you those setups so that you can make the adjustment to it. You can also do them on your own. No problem with that either. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk to you later.